Howdy y'all, Galator here. So I'm out of town this week, so I recorded this video in advance, and it's going to be a book review. So, book review, number 4. Alright, so the first book we're going to review is going to be The Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka. The Metamorphosis is a short novel by Franz Kafka, first published in 1915. It is often cited as one of the seminal works of fiction of the 20th century and is widely studied in colleges and universities across the Western world. The story begins with a traveling salesman, Gregor Samsa, waking to find himself transformed into an insect. Alright, The Metamorphosis, right off the bat, would I recommend it? No. Not because it's a bad novel. I'd probably give it 3.5 out of 5. So what made this novel really famous, I believe, I might be off base, what made it really famous was it did a really good job of conveying feelings of like isolation and being like separated from those around you, which I think is a really fun theme to explore in novels. I don't think this book is that great at it. I think it was just one of the first to really tackle that feeling. If you want a more contemporary author, if you've been watching these book reviews, you'll know I'm a huge fanboy for Murakami at the moment. And just about any Murakami novel is going to take that same feeling from The Metamorphosis, but put it in a context that's a lot more relatable and more enjoyable to read. So I would not recommend reading this and going to read Murakami. Alright, so the second book is Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep by Philip Dick. War has left the Earth devastated. Through its ruins, bounty hunter Rick Deckard stalks in search of renegade replicants who are his prey. When he isn't retiring them, he dreams of owning the ultimate status symbol, a live animal. Then Rick gets a big assignment, to kill 6 Nexus 6 targets for a huge reward. But things are never that simple, and Rick's life quickly turns into a nightmare kaleidoscope of subterfuge and deceit. I picked this up for 2 reasons. One, I was in an airport in London and had already finished my audiobook, and I didn't have a physical book to read, so I just picked it up at the airport, because it was like $10. I also picked it up because I love Blade Runner. Blade Runner is one of my favorite sci-fi movies of all time, and this is the novel it's based on. So, right off the bat, 1, do I recommend this novel? Yes, but I'm going to give you advice that I would almost never give. Watch the movie first, then read the book. So the actual movie Blade Runner is like a beautiful masterpiece. The cinematography is amazing, the acting's really good, but it does a better job of conveying the feeling of this book than this book does. So I would go watch Blade Runner to get the feeling for it, but Blade Runner doesn't explain shit. So you'll finish the movie, you'll be sitting there, you'll be like, so how was she related to the story? Blah, blah, blah. Things like that. You won't quite get why people do certain things in the movie, but it works. Then go pick up this book, read the book, and it'll give you the gritty detail behind everything that happened in the movie. And it blew my mind, because I love the movie, I've seen it several times, and now I've read the book, and I was like, oh my god, like, I get the test now, I get the different, models of androids. I don't want to, you have to see the movie first, and I don't want to say anything about the book until you've seen the movie. But yes, probably 4 out of 5, highly recommend. Alright, and the final book we're going to be reading is Hardboiled, Wonderland, and the End of the World by Haruki Murakami. As you can guess, there has to be at least one Murakami book in all of these episodes until I finish all his work, because I'm enamored. Okay. Hyperkinetic and relentlessly inventive, Hardboiled Wonderland and the End of the World is Haruki Murakami's deep dive into the very nature of consciousness. Across 2 parallel narratives, Murakami draws listeners into a mind-bending universe in which Lauren Bacall, Bob Dylan, and split-brained data processor, a deranged scientist, his shockingly undemure granddaughter, and various thugs, librarians, and subterranean monsters collide in dazzling effect. What emerges is a novel that is at once hilariously funny and deeply serious meditation on the nature and uses of the mind. Okay, so right off the bat, I like everything Murakami writes, so I can't even be objective anymore. But this is very different than all the other ones I've read. I believe I've reviewed 4 of them on stream. Dance, Dance, Dance is number 1, which I love. Kafka on the Shore, number 2. I also love that one. That one also has the parallel narratives, which this book employs, and it's older than that one. Norwegian Wood, and then the short stories, The Elephant Vanishes. So while this book is very good, it's different in the fact that it's not like really magical realism, which is what I've loved about Murakami, where it's like a very realistic setting and then something's different about the world that makes it feel a little bit more magical. This is kind of straight up fantasy. This is a world in which there's like 2 kind of futuristic factions fighting for information. They use people that can process data in their minds to encrypt data. There's also like a subterranean race of creatures that live under the ground. Like it's very fantasy. Not that that's a bad thing, because I love fantasy novels, but it really killed the Murakami experience for me, because I liked when it was a kind of story that really catches my attention is when the mediocre becomes the absurd. And this book started out as the absurd, which is fine. I love fantasy. If I pick up a Terry Goodkind book, I want it to be fantasy. I don't want that to be Murakami. That's not why I like his novels. So I'm actually going to rank this one last out of all the ones I've read. However, I'll still give it a 4 out of 5, and you should read it, especially if you know the names of the brothers Karamazov. So now it goes Dance, 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 Kafka on the Shore, Norwegian Wood, The Elephant Vanishes, and then Hardboiled Wonderland and The End of the World. Alright, thanks for sticking around this long. Hope you guys like the book reviews. They're different than my other content, but they're kind of fun occasionally. The next 3 books I'm going to be reading is first The Hearts of Atlantis, or The Hearts in Atlantis by Stephen King. Not my normal cup of tea, but I made a deal with my dad that I would read one of his Stephen King books if he'd read one of my Murakami's. So, Hearts in Atlantis. The second one will be The Wind-Up Bird Chronicle, or Wind-Up Bird Chronicles by Murakami. And then just to go full on, the third one is going to be A Wild Sheep Chase by Murakami. So thanks for watching, and until next time, au revoir.